Hello and welcome to On the Air with FDT-TV. My name is Ian and I am joined by...
Mike.
This is episode number 14 of this season, season number 2, where we are covering the 2021-22 season, where West Ham started off really, really well and have continued in that vein. And Arsenal were relegation favourites for a little while, but actually are now the third biggest club in London. I think we did you a little favour, if I'm honest. I think we have been taking points off the big boys. But it's all well and good because you're backing it up with your own results. I have my own opinions after watching the game of how I view Arsenal at the moment. But first things first, last week we didn't have a podcast. If you follow us on Twitter, you will have seen that obviously I was recovering from a stag do and Mike was not recovering. Well, he was recovering from COVID. He didn't make it to a stag do. But how are you feeling now, Mike?
Crap.
Well, that's better than dead, isn't it? So it's
it's definitely an improvement of where I was. But last week, man, I was not in a good place. This is no joke, man. It is no joke. I highly recommend no one else get it because it is rank.
I personally think you're a bit weak, mate, being taken down by a cold. It's
that's it. No, that's a fair point.
There's going to be lots of people who listen to that and go, "That's not very nice." I'm not very nice. Sorry. I thought you'd realise that by now.
How quickly fans can turn on you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm a West Ham fan. We're fickle, mate. 2 losses and we'll be hating everybody. But you took on the mighty Aston Villa? No. Yes. No.
Hang on. What game are we talking about? We're talking about this weekend or the game we missed?
No, the this weekend. Who did you take on?
Watford.
Of course it was, because it was Ben Foster, wasn't he? And he was absolutely sublime. And part of me wants to buy a Ben Foster shirt because actually he's quite a nice guy. And he was one of my favourite keepers a number of years ago when I played in goal. But that's because he's really, really old now. Blinding performance for him. I think you were lucky to beat him. There's a slight contentious moment in there. I'm sure you will cover that. But are you happy with the way you got the 3 points?
Yes. Yes, I'm going to say yes, 100%.
Short and sweet.
I'll explain why in a second. So, obviously, as Ian mentioned yesterday at 2:00, we took on Watford at home. I've got to be honest, I was a little bit anxious going into this game. Obviously, with Ranieri coming in and kind of geeing them up a bit. I know they've had kind of a bit of a hit and miss form since he's been in, but mainly positive, which is good. Watford do have some pace within their team, so with some of the players that we have, not really built for speed, but they can do a job. However, I would say for the majority of the game, we were kind of dominating the game. There was 2 goals ruled for offside, a penalty which was saved, and then obviously the goal which did come around in a bit of dubious circumstances, but I'll just explain it quickly. So there was a foul in the middle of the park. Granted, there was around about 10-15 seconds before Danny Rose decided he was going to kick the ball out. We then took the throw. Ainsley Maitland-Niles absolutely ploughed into Ismail Assar, I think it was, right on the edge of the box. And Emil Smith-Rowe picked the ball up and slotted it home in the bottom left-hand corner. I've got to say, firstly, it was a sublime finish.
It was, yeah.
Secondly, the body check, yes, I would say it was a foul. I think it was Sambi Lokonga took out.
Did he get booked for it? Did he?
No, not at all. But that's not the first time we've seen him come in with a bit of a rash challenge like that as well. But one of the tweets I saw, which I thought was hilarious, was Danny Rose is that shit. We weren't sure if he was kicking it out on purpose.
Well, in fairness, he had a howl of a game, didn't he? I think he was lucky to be on the pitch, if I'm honest.
Yeah, so there was. I think on the whole, we did deserve to win the game, but it could have been, not it should have been, it could have been more. Obviously, with the two offside goals. Foster saving Gabriel's header off the line, Aubameyang with the missing a penalty. But it's nice to see the chips kind of falling with us for a change. Yeah. So
I think
happy with the result.
What we've seen now from Arsenal is a change in mentality. A lot of people were saying Arsenal were very friendly and you tried to play nice football and there wasn't that sort of grit amongst them with that sort of dire wanting to win. And although Watford fans will feel hard done by, I think in some respects that the throw-in wasn't thrown back to them. It's a game of football. You didn't have to kick it out. You chose to. So that's that sort of grit and determination. We're going to use everything to our advantage, which is more than in their rights. And Emile Smith-Rowe with a blinding strike to score. Before we get on to Danny Rose, because I feel you may have some things to mention about him. Kuka, who played in the middle for Watford. I'd never heard of him before. I thought he was blinding yesterday. Every time Watford won a tackle, it was Kuka. Every time someone was up in the air, it was Kuka. You know, he was seemingly everywhere and just sort of that nasty, gritty, horrible midfielder that no one wants to come up against. What was your take on his performance?
I agree. I thought it was solid. I think the sending off was correct because there's one or two challenges that you can make and you get away with, and I think there was quite a few within the course of the game for both teams where people were kind of getting away with overzealous challenges. Excuse me, but yeah, I think it was. It's nice to see that sort of player coming back into the game.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's even for us with the likes of Thomas Partey. I mean, he throws a bit of a rash challenge every now and again. Granit Xhaka, obviously, we know can do that. I think is more by luck than judgment. Tomiyasu getting stuck in, Ben White getting stuck in, Gabriel getting stuck in. It's nice to see it coming like around the pitch as opposed to just a certain certain few key players.
Yep. Yeah. So just quickly, Aubameyang has been your star now for a couple of seasons.
Yep.
He's been your best player since he's been at the club, I feel. Do you think he's missing a step? Because for me, I think he was the worst player on the pitch for Arsenal.
I don't think he's missing a step. If you compare his performances last season to this season, I think last season was his worst season in a football shirt, let alone just for Arsenal.
Yep.
I thought it was absolutely diabolical last year. However, this year, whilst he's not in the same scoring vein that he has been previously, you're seeing a different side to his game where he's kind of like tracking back more. I think he come out and said it a couple of weeks ago and basically turned around and said, look, we need to kind of have a long, hard look. There's nothing the manager's doing. It's us as the players that are letting the team down or letting the fans down. And since then, we've seen him go or tracking back throughout the length of the pitch to try and win the ball back. But I think at the same time, it has cost him his goal scoring game. But by all means, he was, I would say, the worst player on the pitch yesterday. But I think that was, I'm hoping, just one of these off games as opposed to it being kind of like a continual run of form, because I think he's been leaps and bounds better than he was last year. It just seems to be, hopefully, an off game.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And the other one I wanted to speak to you about, as I mentioned earlier, Danny Rose. I think he was lucky to be on the pitch. A number of sloppy challenges. A clothesline that John Cena would have won a world title with. And just generally lack of being able to play football. I know, obviously, he made a fuss, didn't he, under Jose, and we all saw that in the Spurs, anything, all or nothing, whatever it was called. But I don't think he deserves to be playing Premier League football. I think Watford have made a mistake there by keep playing him, because he was abysmal.
I gotta be honest, I even forgot he was playing. Do you know what I mean? When I saw his name on the team sheet, I was like, "What? Are you actually still playing football?" So, yeah, I've never really been a big fan of him, even when he was playing for England. I don't rate him as a footballer in any way, shape, or
I
form.
think he had a half a good season once upon a time, didn't he? But it's how the clothesline wasn't a penalty. I don't know. I think that's we've sung the praises of VAR a fair bit this season. They've had a few blips. That was certainly one of them. And the fact that I'd imagine they've probably not going to look at it retrospectively, because VAR assessed it. He shouldn't be on the football pitch. If that's not one, just a foul, or two, endangering a player, I don't know what is.
But you've also got the incident that we had last week again, as well, where Lacazette was rugby tackled. No, Aubameyang, sorry, was rugby tackled to the floor by Johnny Evans. And they looked at it and said, no, it's not a foul. And the reason is because of the distance that was left between where the foul was committed and the goal. So they're saying it's not 100% guaranteed a goal. However, on the form that we have seen about 100%, no, sorry, because that says with some degree of certainty, and he missed a penalty in 12 yards. So
he would have hit the target at least.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't understand how that one hasn't been looked at. But then again, we've had a bit of a rub of the green on some decisions as well. So I can think you just kind of have to take the rough with the smooth sometimes, even though the technology is there to kind of get rid of the rough.
Yeah, and as I say, it's a lack of consistency this week, I think, is probably the best way to sum it up.
Yep.
So that being said, a good game all round. You've started to string some results together. You've started to play more like a team and the Arsenal of old. Sorry, excuse me. Nice little burp there for those wearing headphones. Are you still confident of the top four finish?
I think we need to. Whether I'm confident or not that we can keep it going for the entirety of the season, we've got some tough games coming up. I think we've got Liverpool, Man United, and someone else coming up fairly soon. Yeah,
Well,
I would hope. Yes, I'm going to be confident. We're going to make top four.
Well,
that should be our minimum requirement this year.
I can say with some certainty, Manchester United are beatable, Liverpool are beatable, Manchester City are beatable, because we've done it all, mate. It's this.
Completed it.
I did send a message the other day. I don't know. The Hubble Space Telescope has discovered something that is rapidly growing on Earth, and they've reported it, NASA, as it being fucking massive. It's actually West Ham.
Yes, mate.
Tied second, 3 points behind the Chelsea, who are leading, and we're still in every competition. And it's not like we've had an easy run in the League Cup. We had Manchester United, who Mark Noble robbed us of a point there. So like we would have been second, 2 points from top. We beat them in the cup. Then we had the people who hadn't lost it in that competition in 5 years in City, brushed them to the side. And then we've had Liverpool, brush them to the side. It's and we're still going strong on a European tour. Everything's going well, mate.
It's worrying, but I'm not being funny. I say that with the slightest tongue in cheek, but you've seen the progression that West Ham have made over the last 2.5 seasons, or nearly 2.5 seasons. So since David Moyes has come back, it's been, the recruitment's been really good.
Yep.
You've got rid of some of the chaff that you had, and built on the foundation that he has built, and it's becoming so strong and so pleasurable to watch. I heard someone say it yesterday, that West Ham have become their guilty pleasure to watch. I don't think there needs to be any kind of guilty around it. West Ham are enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. It's the best West Ham side I've ever known. I know, obviously, we had that season with Payet where we were flying high, but that was being carried off the back of one player's best season ever. We're a team now, and we are solid as a team. And the fact that we are sitting third, tied second, only on goal difference, and we've played some of the big boys and come away victor, is just amazing. I don't think there's a single side of West Ham now I don't think that any side look at the calendar and think that West Ham is a nice fixture these days. I think before it was like, oh, you can get something out of West Ham. At the moment, I think, like sort of the old meme of oh, but can you do it on a cold Tuesday night in Stoke? It's West Ham now, isn't it? Liverpool come to us unbeaten in 25. I think the Arsenal faithful will thank us very muchly for keeping their record.
Invincibles.
And I'm not being funny. If it wasn't for a Salah dive, we would have won that 3-1. I think they. Now, here's the thing, right? I'm going to give a little shout. I hope you don't mind, Mike. West Ham Reunited invited me on. We just did a podcast about that match in its entirety. So go over, say hello to them, tell them that you come from FDT-TV. It will go down a treat. But Diego Jota, with an elbow on Ogbonna, smashed his face in, caused him to come off. How that's not been looked at, VAR didn't look at it, the ref didn't look at it, it's been looked at after and said, oh no, but it was no intent. Now we've seen reds for there being no intent but endangering a player, because they've said that's what the rules are. He's endangered the player, he smashed his face open. So how he's not seen red, I don't know. Now, the Aaron Cresswell one, this is a bit of a contentious issue. Was it intentional? No. Was it endangered? No. Was it sloppy? Yes. He should have definitely got a yellow card. He didn't. He just got a ticking off. But he calmed right down after that. I think it was an emotional tackle. It didn't really catch him. It was the trailing leg that come off the floor that was the problem for me. And I do think he deserved a yellow. But he was great. But the other one, Mo Salah, got looked at by VAR. Declan Rice has left his leg in. He's already going down, and then he kicks him, and it's a free kick. Now, you can't deny the free kick was sublime. It was very well placed. It was very well thought out, and they'd obviously planned it. But it shouldn't have been a free kick in the first place, and that's a failing from VAR. And the other thing, which makes me think that there is a desirable club bias in the VAR, is we scored in the 3rd minute from a corner. Directly went in from a corner. It's been attributed to an own goal from Alisson, who said that he was blocked off. He wasn't blocked off at all. He couldn't clear his players. And if anything, it's been attributed to his goal. So he got to the ball. So that's no excuse. But they looked at offside. They looked at a foul. They looked at handball. They were looking for every single possible reason to rule that goal off. And they couldn't find one. And that, to me, proves that Liverpool are where they are because of VAR, because they get the favourable decisions all game, and there's something going on there that makes them get looked at specially. Because if for example, that game was played at Anfield and Antonio had elbowed Van Dijk, he would have seen red without a shadow of a doubt. If same with the Cresswell tackle at Anfield, it's a red card. How, as I've said, I do think we're lucky he didn't get sent off for that, and he definitely deserves a yellow. But Salah dive, every game he's diving, and people are saying he's the best player in the world. He's not the best player in the world. He's a cheater, and I know it's part of the game now. But how can you class yourself as one of the best in the world where you get where you are by cheating? It's like saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the best chess player in the world," but actually you're not allowed to start with half your pieces. Like, I've taken them off the board, so I'm always going to beat you. And it infuriates me, and I'm really quite glad that we did beat them.
Yeah, I've got to admit, actually, when I see that the first goal went in, did see them trying to go for every conceivable reason not to give it, and I think even the commentators, they were like, no, there's no way that's going to be. Even Jamie Carragher, we know how biased he is against every other team other than Liverpool. Even he said it would be unfortunate if it gets turned over for West Ham, because he said there was nothing in it. What is it? You've said this phrase a couple of times where something about goalkeepers where you take the.
They have to
take the player.
Yeah, you have to command your area. You have to be the strongest player there. Yes, he was focused on Antonio because no one else was marking him. He had a Bonner around him. You've got to clear him out. I'll take the yellow for that if I'm the keeper. I'm going to take old Bonner out, punch through his head, and get the ball. I'm not going to faff about with it. And Alisson, you have to say, has been one of the more informed keepers as of late. But the question does now come, is that because he had Van Dijk playing in front of him? Who mops up a lot of it, because he took out Jared Bowen, was a sublime tackle, taking the ball through his legs. And he muscled off Antonio. Sorry, excuse me, a few times.
COVID.
It's catching through the screen. Lucky it's not like 4D. Everyone would have been wet, wouldn't they? It's yeah, but I think Alisson's being found out now. Brighton scored 2 against him. They've been conceding a lot, and he doesn't convince me as a strong goalkeeper. He's a good shot stopper, but say you've got to clear out. You've got to clear out your players. You clear out the box. That's your area. And I'm pretty sure if you spoke to Petr Schmeichel, he would take the man every day of the week. I'm taking the man. Same with Manuel Neuer, like sort of all the great goalkeepers, Oliver Kahn, all the great keepers of their time. I'm taking the player. This is my area. It's like a dog in a yard, isn't it? You go in a yard, the dog's going to bite your leg. Like, so's the goalkeeper. And if it keeps you from scoring a goal. But yeah, 3 points, mate. 3 points. And if you're quite lucky, really, because I would have gone with 3-2 as a scoreline.
Well, I suppose I've got something to be thankful for there.
Cheated, mate. Cheated.
Here's a question for you.
Go on.
Realistically.
Yes.
In fact, not realistically. Can West Ham win the league?
You could never say never. One would love to dream. I will say that. However, that Chelsea are very, very strong. They've been without Werner and Lukaku now for 2 weeks, I think. They're still winning games. Manchester City cruised to a win against United, not playing their strongest squad, and still walked it only in second gear. Liverpool have been blowing teams away. Yes, they've had a blip. Arsenal, I'm going to chuck you in the conversation, are on the rise. So you've got sort of a almost traditional top 4 there already. I don't think you can rule it out. But if we're going to go the distance in every competition, which at the moment it looks like all the ones that we're in, we're doing a good job. Have we got the squad depth? Will a couple of injuries derail that thing? And that I think that's sometimes the difference between a title winning season and not. Is, can you stay injury free? Can you keep your best squad fit? If you offered me the title now, I'd rip it out your hands. Will we get it? I don't think so. I think we'll finish in a top 4 certainly. We was only one result off of a top 4 place last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll get to the final of the League Cup, and we'll end up playing Sunderland or someone like that and losing.
Yeah, I ain't playing Sunderland, mate, because we got them in the next round.
Mate, they're knocking you out. I tell you, they're a banana skin. They're a banana skin waiting to happen. I was quite glad we didn't draw them, if I'm honest. I think we're going to get to the final of Europa League. Will we be able to get... And that's a question. On the big occasion, can you get over the line? Doesn't matter how you win. I'll take a scrappy 1-0 win every day of the week in the cup final. But I think we're going to be that team this year that is almost. We're going to get to a few finals. We're going to show a good show, like represent ourselves well, but not quite be able to push it over the line. I'd love us to go on and win. We're on for a quadruple still at the minute, but I'd love for us to win something.
Based on how you are doing at the moment,
yep,
and how you have seen the team progress over the last 2 seasons,
mm-hmm.
Do you think you'll get backed in January to bring in some fresh players in order to keep the team fresh? Yeah.
Well, we've got this new investor, haven't we, from Sparta Prague. We've seemed to have made some sort of a link there, which is good. I'll mention that in just a moment. Will we get some investment? I think we need to have a striker. Yes, it's going to be playing second fiddle. But if you look at someone who did score against us at the weekend, Origi, big match player. He doesn't get enough game time, but he's quite physical. He's quick, so we'd fit that aesthetic of West Ham, and he's quite happy, I think, to play second fiddle, knowing that Antonio will get injured at some point in the season. 9 seasons out of 10. Because Vlasic, as much as he has put in a shift, he's now injured, and he's not quite clicked. I know you've got to give players time, but when you're pushing the way we are, that's the thing.
Yeah.
My biggest concern is they're going to say, oh, we've got 20 million to spend in January, which, as we all know, in January, players are few and far between, especially good ones, and the price goes up because no one wants to sell halfway through the season. So I think David Moyes has said a number of times he doesn't want to buy a player for the sake of it, because we burnt our fingers recent seasons. Anderson, Haller, we've burnt our fingers with it. So I think we'll have a little bit of a fund. I think that the new guy coming in, if that does come off quite as it West Ham fans are hoping, is that he's going to take over in 2023 when this money to the government thing sort of dies a death, and they're outside of that clause. So it's potentially the grass is looking greener, but you can't always judge it, can you? When Mike Ashley took over at Newcastle, they thought it was brilliant. Turns out it wasn't. So a little investment in January.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I was sort of monologued and went off trail a
No.
little bit there.
Not at all.
But here's the thing, Mike. I'm going to ask the same question of you. You've got a number of players who are coming to the end of their contracts. We've seen Arsenal let a number of big players go on a free transfer because they've not renewed their contract. We've seen Arsenal also sort of toss out the deadwood and terminate contracts. With the likes of Lacazette having 6 months left, Nketiah having 6 months left, I know Aubameyang signed a newer deal. Are you concerned at all that your strike force may dwindle into a player who's coming to the end of his career and Balogun, who hasn't really started it, leaving you in a bit of a lull?
I Nketiah, I've got to be completely honest. I've never really rated. I know he's good for the England under-21s. He's outstanding for, even when he was coming through the academy, prolific. However, since his time in the senior squad, granted he has scored a few goals. I won't take that away from him. But I just don't think he's the sort of player that fits the Mikel Arteta philosophy at the moment. Now, one of the big concerns I did have over the last few weeks was Alex Lacazette. Now, I have mentioned this before. He's a player that fits for me very much the whole Giroud kind of ilk, in the sense that he holds the ball up well, has got a shot on him. But I think that has been seen more so in the last few games. He's a player that didn't have a start until I think around about 3 games ago. And has made a massive difference to the way that we're playing just recently. Again, because he's got great link-up play with other players, holds the ball well, and has got a shot on him as well. He would be one that I would be very concerned about leaving, because I don't think we have a player like that within our team that can fill his boots. Balogun, I think the frustrating thing with Balogun is that he's seen the progression of the likes of Martinelli, Saka, and Emile Smith Rowe, and kind of I get the impression that he feels like he deserves that opportunity straight away. But I think the difference between them and him, Emile Smith Rowe really only burst onto the scene, I'd say, properly last year, possibly the year before slightly, but he's obviously had a few loan spells. But has certainly come to the forefront last season. I thought he was absolutely outstanding last. Bukayo Saka has played 100 games for Arsenal now. Yesterday was his 100th game.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, when they said it, I was kind of a little bit astounded. I know he played a lot of football last year, obviously playing a lot of football this year. But it's something that he's worked and taken his opportunity when he's got it.
Yes.
I think with the likes of Balogun, I have seen him. He's absolutely incredible for the academy, the under-23. When I've seen him in the first team, granted there hasn't really been that many minutes, but obviously he started the first game in the. It was terrible. So he's a player that's going to need to bide his time, and work and continue working for it. I don't think he's someone that deserves first team football straight away. If we end up losing Lacazette, could he potentially fill a position? Possibly, but I don't think he will offer the same as Lacazette does.
Yeah, I think if it's inevitable he will get an opportunity at some point. I think when that comes along, he needs to grab it with both hands, and really make the most of that opportunity and learn to settle in quick.
And I think that's one of the problems that Nketiah has had as well, is that he's had a fair few games, and there's been times where he's made the wrong decision, and you can see the frustration of the other people around him.
Yeah.
Now, let's not forget that, granted, Arteta's the boss. He ultimately makes the decisions, but he's got to be speaking to the captain as well for his input as to whether you feel that this player could make a difference into the squad or into the match day. So again, I don't want to take anything, because from what I've seen of him for the under-20, I think he's a brilliant striker. But when you're comparing the under-23s or the Premier League 2 or whatever it is to the first team senior football, it's 2 completely different kettles of fish.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's a huge step up in class. would you like to see Arsenal potentially? I know you've probably been linked with 1,000 strikers. Would you like to see him bring in someone else new? Maybe to, if Lacazette is on the periphery and possibly on the way out, to challenge Aubameyang for that first team space?
I suppose it would depend on who, with the likes that they're looking to bring in. I have seen that there's been a kind of like a gentleman's agreement with someone. I think it was like Fiorentina or something, where an agreement's been made for a £70 million transfer or something, 70 million euros or whatever it is. But personally, I think with the philosophy got or has been getting or giving over the last over the course of this season, we're finally seeing an identity from his Arsenal team. I would love to see the likes of Martinelli. I would love to see Balogun get a chance. The only one I'm really not convinced with, and I'm sorry to say this, is Nketiah. I think he's too scrawny. He would get knocked off the ball too easily. But then again, some people said that about a few players a few years ago. So
Yeah.
I might get proved wrong. I think Ian Wright's an example of that. Well, they said he was too small, he would get knocked off the ball. And look, he went on to be one of Arsenal's top scorers. So
now,
yeah,
you've just brought up a point there about being knocked off the ball, and that's something that I was actually rather impressed with that I forgot to mention. Is looking at Arsenal play. You are playing quick, simple football, as Arsene Wenger did. Simple passes very quickly to unlock the team. What I did notice is you have a number of small players, Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka. They're both slight players. Even Lokonga, he's taller, but he's not built, is he? What I was really impressed with was the strength shown by those players. They were being challenged and they were coming off best every single time, especially Saka, where someone will barge into him and bounce off. And that's the sort of thing that we see from Antonio at West Ham every week, but he's built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was really impressed with that. And the tenacity. Okay, it didn't work all the time against Watford and they played really well, but you didn't stop. And I think that from the first 3 games of the season, I think if you'd gone into that with the same mentality as you've gone into the last few games, I think you probably would have got some more points than you did. But just singing Arsenal's praises a little bit there, which is a little bit odd, but you could take it while I'm giving it. It's
yeah, absolutely, 100%. Well, you are the second biggest London team now, so
mate, I would argue we're bigger than Chelsea. We've got a bigger stadium, and we sell it out every match. League Cups, Europa League, we sell it out every match. So
we are fucking massive.
We are fucking massive, mate. It's undeniable. If you look up fucking massive in the dictionary, you just get a picture of West Ham. That and Sam Allardyce's head. It's 2 things that come up as in the picture dictionary. So
love it.
But interesting fact of the week, or interesting stat of the week, if you would like to hear it. Manchester United actually had more shots on target against David De Gea than they did against Everton. Edison, sorry, for Manchester City.
I was going to say, interesting.
Yeah. I told you it was interesting. It was true. No, they had 2 shots on target against David De Gea and 0 shots on target against Edison in the Manchester City goal. So I guess they decided they couldn't break down the City defence. Let's just pepper our own goal and make her feel better.
I've got to say, United were terrible. Absolutely terrible.
How Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in charge of that club, I do not know.
Now I don't care. I got the bloody bonus point a couple of weeks ago, so I'm happy about that.
Here's the thing, right? If Ronaldo wasn't at that club, because he's pulling them out of the fire in a minute, single-handedly, and I had this discussion with my other half the other day. She said, well, he's not doing much. He scored like 7 goals in 9 games and he's got like 4 assists. Without him in that squad, they're in a relegation battle. They really, really are. And I don't know. I mean, they could have gone out and got Conte like Tottenham did. I think that would have made a huge statement. I feel like they're gonna lag behind, and the progress they did make under Van Gaal, under Mourinho, then under Ollie at the start of his career. I know they're saying since he's joined, he's got the third most points. He's not. He's never gonna. You're never gonna win anything under him. You're never gonna compete under him. And I just feel like Manchester United will. They sort of had their up peak, and now they're just gonna fall away again. I know we did discuss it about Ferguson potentially coming out of retirement. I think that would be dire straits before he did that. But it's I think they're becoming more of a circus than West Ham United in terms of ownership and management. It's quite well. It's good to see, really, from a neutral perspective. Just putting that out there. If you own Manchester United, would you keep him?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think fair play to him that they're kind of sticking to their guns. Because I think I saw something come out on Saturday or Sunday where they said that they've got no desire to change the manager. There's only so long that the fans are going to allow it. We saw how quickly the fan power got the likes of Manchester United, Man City, Arsenal out of that Super League. Personally, I think it's only a matter of time. But unfortunately, the thing with Manchester United or with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is that as soon as he starts coming under a bit of pressure, he seems to pull out that one result, which kind of saves his bacon a little bit.
Yeah.
But there has to be a time where you have to look at Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, that they need to realise that it's not good enough.
Yeah. It's not good enough. And I think you summed that up really well there, actually, is that at some point they're going to have to realise. If that Super League hadn't gone ahead, I know Barcelona are having a torrid time and so are Tottenham. But I think against all those clubs, I think they would still get absolutely rinsed. Even Barcelona now, like they've just appointed Xavi of all people. But I don't know. I don't know what you change, because if you still got to play Ronaldo, which isn't a bad thing, but then you have to play to his strengths. And that means a bit like Arsenal have done. They've got rid of a lot of dead wood. They're going to have to cull players. They're going to have to tell people they're not up to the standard. The trouble is, I don't think you could offload them. I think you'd have to pay them off. And Manchester United are loaded with high-priced, long contract players.
Yep.
Eric Bailly has never really got running, has he? Nope. I think he's on the 175k a week on a 5-year deal. He's still got like 4 years left of that. I may be wrong on the length of it, but it's they can't. I don't think they can afford to pay them off and get rid of them. And to sell them, you're going to have to pay some of their wages, and you're going to receive a very low fee for them. So the only way you do manage to do it is if you can manage to offload them to Newcastle. But
well, they're not short of a few quid now, are they?
No.
My next question to you, just on that basis, is just around a player which you had last season, which helped rip up trees for you guys.
Yep.
But since he's gone back, hasn't really had a sniff in. Jesse Lingard. Do you reckon he's regretting his decision to stay at Man United? Or
yes, I do. Because he said he wanted to play football. I think he was given assurances and all the right things were said to him. And then Ronaldo was going to join City. And I know people are like, oh, he would never join City. He would have gone to City. Of course he would have. Why wouldn't he? I know it's a legacy thing. But actually, he wants to win. He goes to City. He wins everything. They win everything. If Ronaldo hadn't gone, I think he would have played more. But at the end of the day, I think he needs to cut his losses. I think he has missed out now on another 6 months worth of football. And I don't think he's going to be the same player. He did score a good goal against us, but I don't think he's going to be able to come back with that same impact as he did.
Yeah.
Manchester United said they still want 15 million for him. And okay, he's got 4 months left of his contract, so that might dip to 10. But then you go for 10 million. Newcastle are going to come in for him. We're going to come in for him. I'd imagine you're going to probably see Aston Villa go in for him. Then it's a bidding war, isn't it? Okay, we give you 11. Okay, we give you 12. We give you, and the price goes up and up and up to try and cut, like, sort of get his signature. I don't think it's worth it. Not for a player who is going to be 29 soon, or may already be 29. I really don't feel that he would have the same impact, and especially Binaz. For us, Fornals is on fire, Ben Rama's on fire, Bowen's on fire. Who'd you drop? Who'd you drop? Because they're all in form, they're all playing well, they're all being tenacious, they're all working hard. Who'd you drop?
See, I think out of all of those teams you just mentioned, I think Aston Villa are probably one of the ones that would.
He would replace Jack Grealish quite well. I feel.
That's what I was literally just about to say.
Buendia has not set the world alight in the Premier League. He was fantastic in the Championship, but again, that's another step up, isn't it? Where Jesse Lingard knows the Premier League. Okay, yes, he's not going to be the same sort of player, but I think he will galvanise potentially that Aston Villa team. I think that would be his best move at this point, and he still gets to play in claret and blue to a certain respect.
Come on, you Villa.
What a Villa?
Yeah.
What's Villa's nickname?
I don't care.
That's a pub quiz question, isn't it? What's the nickname of Aston Villa? And I guarantee you, no one knows.
Apart from Villa fans.
I don't even think they know, mate. Gotta admit, I think they know. But that moves us quite nicely on to predictions. We didn't get around last week because of obviously. So, what are the latest scores?
Okay, so we had, just going back a couple of weeks now. So this is when Arsenal played Leicester and Aston Villa played West Ham, and we also did Tottenham versus Man United as that bonus round fixture. So you had Leicester down for a 1-0 win. I had us down for a 2-2. We won very comfortably 2-0, so 0 points each. Villa versus West Ham, you had 3-1. I had 2-1. It was 4-1 to West Ham. So it's a point each. And then for Tottenham versus Man United, we both went for a Spurs win. Manchester United actually come away with 3-0 winners for that one, so 0 points each. So a grand total of a point each for that particular week. So that takes me up to 21 points and you on 17. Going into this week, obviously we have got the international break now coming. We have got 2 England games coming up: England versus Albania and San Marino versus England.
Yep.
Just on the subject of England, I just want to give a quick shout out to Emile Smith-Rowe for finally being called up for the England squad. Very well done to him, very well deserved. To be honest, I think it was a bit of a piss take that he had to get his place from a few people pulling out, but that's a different story. So yeah, England versus Albania. World Cup qualifier. This is the last of the international breaks for a bit.
Thank God.
I've got to be honest. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to these games at all. I think the only thing, or the only reason I'm going to watch these ones is because we do have one of the largest Arsenal contingencies since kind of like the late 90s or early 2000s within the England squad. So we've got Ramsdale, Saka, and now Emile Smith-Rowe in there. But for me, England versus Albania, I think this is going to be a very comfortable 4-1. I think it's going to be a bit of a brain fart. We'll concede 1 goal, but then we'll go on and smash it 4-1.
I've got a similar thing. I think it will start really slow and it'll be sluggish, and we will end up winning 3-1. That was my prediction.
Okay. Moving on to San Marino again. This is away at San Marino. I don't see why they are even still a thing. I know, obviously, each football federation is allowed to put a team forward, but I don't know why they bother. They're whipping boys. I'm going to put this down as a 6-0 win.
Oh my God, you stole it out of my mouth. I'm going 5-0 then, just for that.
Right.
I was going to go 6-0, but no, do you know what? I'm going 4-0. 4-0 I'm going.
4-0.
We've got Harry Kane up front, who's been absolutely diabolical, you know?
Yeah, true.
There's a lot of players in that squad that shouldn't be, and a lot of players that are not in the squad that should be. Especially when, as Gareth Southgate says, he goes on form. Bollocks.
Oh, shit.
Absolute bollocks. Do you think... Here's a question. Do you think we're going to see Ramsdale get some minutes? Or do you think he's just going to stick with Pickford? Because Pickford has done well for England, but he's not doing great for Everton. But he has really upped his form for England.
Okay, so the game against Albania, I think Pickford will start their game because I think that's the more challenging out of the two. I'm not saying for 1 second I don't think Ramsdale would do a good job, because I think he would be the better keeper out of the two. However, I think based on the squad selections that we've seen so far, I would say that Pickford keeps his position for that game and Ramsdale goes in for the game against San Marino.
Yeah,
I'll be very surprised if we do see Ramsdale Pickford for the Albania game.
I think in terms of Premier League form, he'd have to, but he has been very, very good, hasn't he, for England recently? So, yeah.
That's a fair point.
It's all fun. It's all fun. I don't think there's much else that's gone on in terms of the world of football recently.
I would just like to say,
go on.
Eddie Howe's been confirmed.
Oh yes,
as
that's true.
Newcastle manager. So good luck to him.
Will he keep them up from relegation?
Yes.
You reckon?
Yeah, I've said it all along, mate. I think I do feel so sorry for Steve Bruce with the treatment that he received.
Yes.
But I think the Newcastle do have the squad to get themselves out of the position they're in. They have got some unbelievable signs. They just need someone to unlock their full potential. Eddie Howe's a manager that we've seen in the Premier League for some years previously. But works really well on a shoestring, and I think has got a backing of a lot of Newcastle's. Therefore, I think he's going to be like taken into it like a duck to water. I really do.
My biggest concern with that is I know people are saying they'd like to see him at a bigger club, see what he could do with the club. He's got two players there who no longer wanted to play under him at Bournemouth. Ryan Fraser, who he had quite a public falling out with, so that's got to be the end of Fraser at Newcastle. He's not that he's pulled up trees there. And Callum Wilson, who'd argue he's one of the better players in that current squad, who just didn't want to play under him anymore. I know a number of people said that when he was there, he's fantastic. He puts his arm around the players, but as he started to get a few bigger personalities, he seemed to lose the plot a little bit. And that would be my concern with. If I was a Newcastle fan, he's actually, yes, he might get the best out of some of the players that are there, but you give him a few big players, a few big egos, and is he able to manage them sufficiently to get a tune out of them? Because Solskjaer is the same. He put his arm around a few players, got a few good results. He's now got a few big names, and he can't keep control of them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And to be honest, I can about Ryan Fraser and Callum Wilson, but I think possibly with his time out of the game, and he may come in with a different approach. So obviously, whatever was happening towards the end of his Bournemouth tenure, it obviously wasn't working. So maybe with some time out of the game, away from it all, I think it may be the thing that kind of drives him back and comes up with new philosophies or whatever. So. Yeah. I am interested to see how well he does, whether he's going to be a bit of a flop, how much time the fans will give him.
2 games.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, I am interested to see how or what happens there. The other thing I wanted to say was Aston Villa sacking.
Dean Smith.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh
that is one I didn't see coming. I've got to be honest. I know they'd been on a bit of a free fall just recently, but
Now here's the thing. Some people have attributed that to Jack Grealish leaving. And I put in the group chat the other day. I think it's more to do with John Terry leaving. Because okay, people didn't like him as a person, didn't like him as a player, but there is no doubting that he was a world class defender. His ability to read a game and manage a game was fantastic. His ability to be in the right position at the right time and his commitment to putting his body on the line was unquestionable. Now, last season, Konsa and Mings were unbelievable. And he was in their ear all game, shouting the instructions to them. He would train it with them. He's now gone because he wants to pursue being a manager. And Aston Villa defensively are a shambles again. So I think it's got more possibly to do with the fact that they haven't got a defensive coach than it is to do with Jack Grealish leaving. And I think a lot of Aston Villa fans may be slightly annoyed because Dean Smith did pull them out of the weeds, didn't he? They were at a very pivotal point where they could have gone to obscurity, and he brought back from the death and done really well. Jack Grealish has sung his praises, as have a number of other players. So I think that's a potential for the fans to turn on the ball, depending on who they bring in next.
Yep.
And Daniel Farke.
Yes, finally picked up Norwich's first win and gets sacked. Maybe they were looking for the worst record of the Premier League season, and he's ruined it.
Pick up 3 points, and they go, "No, we don't do that here. You're out." I'm slightly surprised at that one because I don't think their expectation could have been much more than get relegated. Try and play expansive football. They sold their most creative player and then expected to pull up trees. I don't really know what their expectation is. I know they've been linked with Lampard and stuff. If I was him, from a career move, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near that club.
Nope.
Because yes, they're too good for the Championship, but they're nowhere near good enough for the Premier League. And actually, you're going to go down. You're getting relegated regardless. You'll probably come back up, and then you're going to get sacked. That's what Daniel Farke did, isn't it? I think he had 2 seasons. Or he had half a season, didn't he? Then he went down. Then they've come back. I don't know what they were aiming to achieve for that, because I think that the Norwich fans sort of understood that, and he played football that they like watching. So another one that's probably disappointed the fans, but it's a results business.
Yep, 100%. 100%. That's it from me.
Patrick Vieira, just quickly.
Oh yes,
Patrick Vieira. It was the bookies' favourite to start, wasn't he? Or be the first manager sacked. Arguably, I would say the most difficult job, with half the first team out of contract, the other half pretty much over 30 years old. They're flying, actually. They're hard to beat. They're playing some decent football. Are you surprised that he's doing not necessarily that he's not relegation fodder, but that they're doing so well?
A part of me yes, and part of me no. Obviously, I know and I know it's a completely different kettle of fish from going from from player into management, but he has had experience elsewhere. I think he was with New York City FC. So it's not like he's coming kind of like fresh-faced into the management role. It was a strange appointment, I got to admit. I think we discussed it at length when he first went to Crystal Palace. So no, but yes, I am surprised, because I think Crystal Palace have been a bit unfortunate with some of their results as well. Obviously, conceding, I think it was like 3 games on the bounce where they conceded very late on to either get a draw or no, I think it was 3 draws they had on the bounce, including us. And I don't know what has changed, but I think he's doing a brilliant job. I really, really do. But yes, I am surprised by how well he is doing. I've got to be honest. And I know that sounds really, really harsh, but it's just exceeding all expectations, I think, for everyone. And they could be, I suppose, someone else's guilty pleasure to watch, to see how he's got the team kind of drilled and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when they played against us, I think it was a bit of a shambles for the first half. We were by clearly the better team of the first half, and second half they absolutely slapped us one. So I think we were very fortunate to get the last goal in pretty much the last kick of the game. But yeah, fair play to him. Absolutely brilliant.
And that's a positive to end on, which is unusual for us.
It is.
I think we should call it there.
Yep.
But if you haven't already and you are still here, I think you should put in the comments that we are fucking massive. That's over on the YouTube channel. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to FDT-TV. We're very, very close to that 100 subscriber mark, which will be very, very nice when we get there. And we can only do that with your help. But on that note, I have been Ian.
I've been Mike.
We have been on the air, and we are FDT-TV. We hope you've enjoyed, and we will see you next week.